guys, welcome to Experience, the show where I, Indy Saggu, and my film crew take you from the largest expos to the smallest local outings and ask and answer one simple question: is it worth the experience? Today we're at Rosehill Gardens for the Sydney Manga Anime Show, celebrating their 10th anniversary. The ticket price is $40 for the Saturday, but we're here as media. Now we just need to ask, is Smash still worth the experience? Let's find out. We're with Sly from Madman Entertainment. How you doing, Sly?
Hey, mate, good, thanks.
That's good, that's good. So, Madman Entertainment, can you tell us what it is or how did it get started?
Well, we've been around for 20 years now. It's actually our 20th anniversary this year, so thank you very much. And started off originally as a VHS import business. I don't know if people that are watching now are young enough to remember video cassette tapes. Yeah, things that you put in a little thing and it plays, and you can't skip. You have to fast forward and rewind. So Tim Anderson, one of our co-founders, he started it off as an import business, importing videotapes, like really hard to get anime titles from America. Then he started licensing this stuff and creating, tapes in PAL, which was, there were actually format wars. Sort of back in the day, you had to get into the right format. That was sort of back in 1996. Eventually, around 1999-2000, we moved into moving DVD production ourselves here in Australia, and the market really grew and grew and grew. Things like anime on TV, Dragon Ball Z, Neon Genesis Evangelion on SBS especially, that brought in a lot of fans into Australia, and we were able to really grow the company from then, and here we are 20 years later and we're still going strong.
So what have been some of the major successes for Madman?
Major successes, I think, to be able to get a lot of titles onto television and expose it to a really wide audience in Australia, trying to capture them in and get them to expose them to anime, in one title, stuff like Sailor Moon, yeah, like I said, Eva, Dragon Ball Z, get them in and then try and expose them that way to see the fact that there's, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of anime titles that are released every single year. So we're really proud of that. We're also really proud to be able to, support really big community events like this one, like Smash. They go for 10 years now, so really, really happy about that. Other things, we've been able to bring manga to Australia, to a lot of Australian audiences, importing manga and distributing manga, and now also we've now started our own streaming platform called Anime Lab.
So, in the past, Madman has distributed anime and manga. Mm-hmm. Have they actually produced any of their own manga? We haven't produced any of our own as such, like local productions for anime, but we have for other like Australian films and other sort of productions as well. There was a fairly well-known one called the Wasteland of Panda. We helped with the production with that one, and also with an old Australian classic called Kenny. And we're doing a lot of documentaries now as well. So there was a film called that Sugar film that we did as well. So not so much in the anime or manga space, but definitely in the other space. But I guess other things that we're doing now that's really exciting is we're putting on our own event, the Madman Anime Festival. So that's happening September 3 and 4 at the Melbourne Convention Exhibition Centre. So it's the first time that we're putting on an event. Think of it like, I guess, for the audiences that are in Sydney, it's like Smash, but, bringing a lot of Japanese guests, a lot of,
game vendors. Bandai Namco going to be there. It's the first time in Australia going to be able to play games like Final Fantasy 15, the world of Final Fantasy, and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to have a lot of interesting things like One Punch Man, Sword Art Online, yes, and also an exhibition for Tokyo Ghoul as well. And a lot of other really fun activities as well over the weekend.
That's fantastic. So Sly, in your own personal opinion, out of all the animes and mangas that we have out there, do you have a favorite?
I do. My personal favorite film of all time is Laputa, Castle in the Sky. It's a Studio Ghibli film by Hayao Miyazaki, one of his classics, and I watch that sort of, all the time, and it just brings back a lot of memories. I grew up on that movie.
So for you, what got you into animes and manga?
I was originally born in Hong Kong, so I was sort of lucky enough to be exposed to a lot of that kind of stuff on TV. I was just, this kind of cartoony stuff, whatever. It's kind of cool. Kids are playing toys and all that kind of stuff with it. That's how I initially got exposed to it. But then when I moved to Australia, I kind of rediscovered anime with Evangelion on TV. That's kind of got me hooked in. And then what else is there to watch? Dragon Ball Z was on TV, and then Sailor Moon was on TV, and kind of got sucked into the whirlpool of anime from there.
I actually remember watching Neon Genesis as well. I think it was on
SBS, and it was prime time. Prime time.
I remember those days. They were really good. And I think for most people here as well at Smash, I think they have to credit those type of shows that were put on at those times, and that's what got them into it as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people sort of brought in with that, and then now some of the younger generation, Pokemon, and of course now. We're hoping with our platform like Anime Lab to be able to, because a lot of people now, instead of being exposed to stuff on TV, they're watching stuff online. So having our own streaming platform, we can introduce the audience to even more titles.
You mentioned you grew up in Hong Kong.
Yes.
So did you go to were there any type of conventions like this in Hong Kong?
Not when I was growing up as such, but I know now that there's a couple of events on that are fairly big. C3 Chara Expo, that's on around February, and the biggest one in Southeast Asia is ACG Hong Kong, which is Anime Comics and Games, and that gets about 500,000 people there. It runs on a whole week as well.
And so have you been to any of those?
I've been to ACG once.
Right. And would you say obviously the environment and
the scale is something that's not seen sort of anywhere else. Big halls, multiplied by 220, and it's just like a party the entire time.
Brilliant. Anyway, Sly, thank you very much, and thanks for letting us know about what your favorite animes are, and hopefully Madman can keep on bringing out those animes so we can all watch them.
We'll try our best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. Ciao. Here with Gundam extraordinaire Eric.
Cheers, thanks for having me.
No worries. So, start off with, what is Gundam?
Gundam is a franchise that started in Japan back in the 1970s, which was basically, more of an anti-war sentiment, which uses these cartoon robots as a vehicle to portray these messages about the horrors of war. And the series proved to be so popular that they kept making more series and variations on that formula of these anti-war sentiments using vehicular robots and young child protagonists who have to experience the horrors of war for the first time. And along with that media franchise came along these lines of what you can see here as plastic model robot kits. Now back in the 70s, they weren't as advanced or as accurate as these ones are, but that's what Gundam is. It's a media franchise where it's not only just a cartoon series, but it's a whole entire hobby and culture unto itself.
So you mentioned Gundam started in the 1970s.
Yeah.
Did it originally start as a cartoon, or was it an anime, or was it a manga, was it a novel?
It was definitely an anime. It started off as anime, but like I said, because of the popularity, proved to be a lot more than what the producers had imagined. You started getting these movies, so you have different timelines. So they have different series like the Universal Century, after Century, and then you've got all these spin-off mangas, like these Japanese cartoons, that Bandai and Sunrise are all of a sudden saying, hey, these are great stories that they're using our material from. Let's use that to expand further on our story.
That's good to see. It's got quite a rich history as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you say it's just as popular here as it is in Japan?
To be honest, no. Not exactly, but the hobby is growing. The popularity is definitely growing. Year after year, with every Gundam Builders World Championship, the quality of the entries, the number of entries have been increasing exponentially every year, and I think that just goes to show how popular and how enthusiastic Australians are, not only about the cartoon and the consumption of their media, but also like as a hobbyist. As a hobbyist, we love to tinker, paint, and modify. And this competition is just a great outlet for that. So, personally, Eric, how many do you own yourself, the models? Can you put a number on it? Or? I think I own 20. I'm not that great at, around about 20. I'm not that great at building these, but I enjoy it because it's a great stress reliever. I used to bring in little small kits into the office when no one's looking, so I could start building it. So out of all the Mecha models, do you have a favorite, Eric? My favorite one would have to be the RX-93 New Gundam. It's in Char's Counterattack, and I think the design of it is just it's a beautiful piece of design machinery, and the model kits they brought out for it, the Vercar, just brings the detail and the little intrinsic details to life, and I just find that, just amazing. So you mentioned, storyline-wise, you mentioned it was anti-war in the beginning, and you said that's carried on throughout the ages now. Yeah. So here, 2016, it's still going on, right? Yeah, I mean, right now, we just finished a running of 4-episode OVAs of Gundam Thunderbolt, and a lot of the old series of Gundams would just focus on one protagonist and how he experiences the horrors of war, but in a very muted kind of way. So it's like child soldiers having to fight, but they muted the violence and the grittiness of it. Gundam Thunderbolt is like seeing Saving Private Ryan for the first time. They're not afraid to show you the really darker sides of what space war would look like, and it touches upon how, yes, war is gritty, but also it shows upon how the protagonist loses part of his humanity in his bloodlust in the middle of battle. And I think it's a fresh approach to how Bandai or whatever studio normally approaches that subject matter, because they've always been very careful in the way they approached animated violence. So on a personal note, Eric, you mentioned that there's quite a lot of sub-series and different OVAs that they've released. Do you have a favorite episode or series or OVA? My favorite OVA right now is definitely Gundam Thunderbolt, because it's a fresh approach on their normal formula for storytelling, where it focuses on the gritty violence. I guess that's what happens when you're a 26-year-old. You want to see a much more mature storyline come out of a franchise you've grown up with. And it's definitely part of the Universal Century timeline, and a lot of people are massive fans of the Universal Century timeline, and I think that would resonate with a lot of more mature viewers these days. And how long have you been affiliated with Gundam? Affiliated with Gundam? I've been working with the Gundam section of Smash for up to 5 years now. Before that, I dabbled a bit in the hobby. I watched a bit here and there back in high school. But yeah, it was only in the last 5 years that I've actually taken the hobby seriously, getting really into the anime, the movies, the OVAs, and just just seeing what great stories there are to read.
It's good to see as well, like looking at all the people that come through. Like they've either, it seems that they've either watched it in the past or they're getting into it now as well.
Yeah.
And it looks like there's quite a few fans here as well, which is really good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if anything, because there's a series back from the 70s, there's series that are still being made to this day. We're previewing series that are about to be released later on this year. Gundam is definitely a media franchise that has something for everyone, of all ages and all sizes and all genders as well.
Have you met anyone that's come up to you and said, you know, I actually watched the original back in the 70s?
No, not yet. That is definitely not something that's happened to me, and yeah, you know what? I'm looking forward to the day I meet that person.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
Eric,
thank you very much for your time.
No worries,
and
man.
Yeah, let's hope to see some more Gundam.
Yeah, definitely. Cheers. See ya.
Hey guys, we're with Kenny, costume creator and WCS president. How are you doing, Kenny?
Good, thank you.
Very good. So can you tell us the WCS, what is it and how long have you guys been around for?
So, World Cosplay Summit has been going on since 2004. It started with only 4 countries going over to Japan and participating in a cosplay event. And a few years later, they started to do a championship, basically to find the best cosplayers in the world. And I found out about it back in 2006, and I got interested in it, and I wanted to bring it to Australia. So I contacted WCS in 2006 and got approval to organize it for Australia. So we announced it in 2008 that we were going to participate, and we sent our first team in 2009. So we've been almost now 8 years we've been going to Japan. So we started at first with Animania, and then 4 years ago we moved over to Smash when Animania stopped. And yeah, it's been a really great. It's always good because to get all the cosplayers to come and participate in the competition. You see the most exquisite costumes, the best performances. And it's just everyone's pushing themselves to be the best and to represent Australia in Japan.
So when you're looking at the cosplayers, what is the WCS looking for though? Like, is it clarity? Is it detail?
So it's a bit of everything. So we take into account for the costume the level of quality of the craftsmanship. So how well it's sewn together, any intricate designs that have been put into it. So we're taking also into account the difficulty of the costume, whether it's just a simple sewn costume or if it's something really complex with lots of different weird shapes. And then after that, it's techniques that are being used. So if they use just simple sewing, or if they use also other elements like warbler, any other material that's a bit more difficult to use than just fabric.
So have you seen any, in your history with the WCS, have you seen any that really stood out?
My favorite costumes of all time would have to be Team Mexico from last year. They did Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, and I've never seen costume as good as that ever. It was just so much details going into it, and just beautiful craftsmanship. And the performance was really beautiful. So I recommend for people to watch it. There's videos on YouTube of their performance last year.
Seeing all the people here that have taken the time and effort to dress up, how long do you think it would take for them to create such an elegant costume?
It can take quite a bit of time. most people do costumes, like they'll take a week or two to make, and they're usually simple costumes. But when you see a very intricate costumes, usually it'll take a month, 3 to 6 months at least. Like recently when I was in Japan, I saw Team Denmark's costume. They took a year, and it was so detailed. Like there was details in the details. It was crazy, and you can only get that much details and quality into the costume if you take your time, and it can take as long as a year.
So the WCS in Australia, how many other countries has now joined this huge WCS?
So this year there was 30 countries, and I think they are hoping to have 32 next year. So it's getting bigger every year. It's the biggest cosplay event in the world by far. I think the second largest after that in America. We only have 12 countries. So WCS is the largest by far. Yeah.
Right. So Kenny, on a personal matter, like you've chosen to come as Zell from Final Fantasy VIII, which is one of my favorite characters in that game.
Characters too.
He's always. I like the way he always had his own attitude. I really like that. Yeah. So what made you choose Zell for today?
Actually, I made this costume because a few years back, a group of my friends wanted to do a Final Fantasy VIII group. So I said, like, I want to do Zell, and so I was Zell, part of that group. And then Natalie, who was at Team Australia last year, was doing Final Fantasy VIII this weekend with a few friends. So I decided I would take it out of the cupboard and wear it again.
Brilliant, yeah. We see too many Final Fantasy VIIs. I think there's too many clouds and
yes, there's still quite a few today actually. Yeah. So it's good to see other Final Fantasies. Yeah.
So, like with all the cosplays that you've undertaken yourself, right? Do you have a favorite?
I think my favorite is Waka because I've taken it to Japan a few times because it's not many people do Waka from Final Fantasy X, and so every time that I wear it, people get super excited about it because pretty much I think I'm the only Waka cosplayer in Australia, and there's only a few around the world I've done that costume. So I think it's just a level of excitement because not many people actually do it.
Well, Kenny, thank you very much, and thank you for telling us all about the WCS and your role within it. Let's hope for Australian victory. Let's hope. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. That wraps up Smash for 2016. There was a lot on offer for all attendees, including card games, free-to-play arcade, drawing games, and even a cosplay competition. Compared to last year, the variety of food has increased significantly, and despite the amount of foot traffic, the crowds have been pleasant and the cosplayers have blown me away. For the 10th anniversary of Smash, the organisers have gone all out, and it definitely shows. So Smash 2016, still worth the experience? Absolutely. And with that, we'll see you for the next experience. Cheers.
Cookie, by the way, if you want a cookie, we have company merchandise cookies. Do you want a cookie? Anyone?
I will let you.
Oh, okay.